Light roast isn't just the pale beans. It's a completely different flavor experience. And as a second generation roast master, I'll show you what really defines light roast and how to enjoy it. This is part 1 of my beginner's guide trilogy. Light, medium, and dark roast. So you can finally understand what each roast level really means and how to choose the one that matches your taste. So let's start with light roast, what it actually is and why it's often misunderstood. When we talk about light roast, we're not just talking about pale surface color. Two beans can look almost the same outside and be very different inside. What really defines light roast is roast development. How far the beans were taken in the roasting process. Here are the two biggest misconceptions. Sour doesn't mean light roast. If a coffee tastes aggressively sour, that usually points to underdeveloped roast, not to light roast as a category. Light roast doesn't mean weak. Strength comes from how you brew, not how dark the beans look. Light roasts have higher acidity compared to more developed roasts. That acidity often shows up as citrus, stone fruit, or berry-like notes, giving the cup more brightness. Depending on the beans, you may also find floral aromatics or a touch of sweetness. But what stands out most in light roast is the brightness-forward character. Light roast means you'll find more brightness and acidity. It's not the roast you choose if you want weight or chocolatey comfort. It's the one you pick when you want fruitiness and a pop of flavor. If a bag doesn't directly say light roast, look for words like bright, lively, floral, or fruit descriptors like citrus or stone fruit. Those aren't a guarantee, but they're often a signal. And some roasters or brands focus heavily on light roast, and their wording will lean that way. If you get to see the beans directly before you purchase, color can be a first indicator. But don't rely on it alone. Appearance doesn't always tell the whole story, and reading the description is much more reliable. If you like something handy to reference, I made a free PDF with a few key tips to guide you. You'll find the link below. Light roast is delicate, even fragile, which makes the brewing method especially important. The goal is to highlight its brightness and fruitiness without letting acidity turn harsh. Pour-over is the best match. It gives you control and small adjustments, which help balance that natural acidity. Done carefully, pour-over brings out the fruity, bright qualities that define light roast. Immersion brewing isn't ideal because light roast already has high acidity. Immersion risks over-extraction, which quickly turns that acidity into sharp sourness. High-temperature method like Moka pot or Espresso isn't a good fit either. The heat can overwhelm the delicate character that makes light roast enjoyable. If you want to brew pour-over like a pro, you'll find my course linked below. And if you're wondering how to match the beans to different brewing methods more broadly, I covered that in another video. I'll link it here. One mistake is putting too much trust in color. With any roast, that can be misleading. It's especially tricky for light roast because it's still early in the roasting development curve. There's a higher chance of getting underdeveloped or under roasted beans compared to more developed roasts. So yes, take a look at the color, but be cautious. Use the bag description as your main guide. As I explained earlier, light roast doesn't mean light in flavor or weak in the cup. Strength comes from how you brew, how much coffee to use, how much water, and so on. With light roast, if you want more intensity, focus on ratio and flow rate. That lets you highlight the qualities you enjoy without pushing the beans into over-extraction. And finally, don't assume sour coffee is the same as light roast. Harsh sourness usually points to underdeveloped beans or sometimes over-extraction during brewing. A well-executed light roast should taste bright and fruity, sometimes floral, not grassy or harsh. So if you detect wrong kind of sourness, don't accept it. Not all light roast is sour. You need to figure out whether it's the beans or the brew. And if you suspect it's your brew, then look deeper to understand what's causing that sourness. So to sum up, light roast means more brightness and acidity. It's not about weak strength or pale color. The key is knowing how to choose it and brewing it in a way that protects its delicate character. And this is just part 1 of Beginner's Guide series. In the next video, we'll look at medium roast, the balance point of layers of flavors, and then dark roast after that. If this was helpful, subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the series. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful coffee day.